Hello, everyone. It's Steve Williams, and I have Miss Shanielle McLeod here. And what we're going to talk about is expungement of criminal records. We posted an ad for her company on Facebook and in some other places online, and we just had a tremendous amount of people that was just had a million questions for her. She was answering emails, answering Facebook messages, and we decided to put together this video to help answer as many questions as possible and also to explain what expungement is all about. But first, Danielle, I would like for you to tell them about your story and then we'll get into some more stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, for those that don't know, I'm a paralegal. I'm a researcher more so, but I have been researching the issue and the topic of expungement for 10 years now.
Okay.
So in 2007, here in Wisconsin, I noticed that there was a special committee
Okay.
on expungement of criminal records, and I had been following it up to 2009, which was pretty historical in Wisconsin because that was the first time that let me back up, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
So, okay, I had been following up to 2009 and I seen where the expungement law had passed.
Okay.
Which was pretty historical because that law had been unchanged since 1975. So in all that time, there had been no movement on expungement at all.
So they were just making people, if you had it, you had it.
You just had it.
Okay.
So what happened was they increased the age from age 21 to age 25. And they included felony convictions for the first time ever in Wisconsin's history, which was unheard of because prior to 2009, you had to go get a pardon for the governor, which did nothing for employment, housing, higher education. It did nothing to help with those things. It only gave you your rights back. So, people get it confused. They confuse expungement with pardons, and it's clear it's just not the same.
And just for everyone that's watching, we're going to be talking about all the states, not just Wisconsin, but she is a specialist for Wisconsin. That's where she learned everything. Okay, let's go into more about your story about
so
what got you into doing
what
this.
What got me into this when I caught my first and only conviction myself. And I had been in corporate America my whole life. I've been workaholic from age 15 to 25. So at 25, I received my first conviction. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and the only way I was able to survive was by fighting back. Neighbors called the police. We both get charged. I caught my first conviction. I was let go under my position. I could never go back to corporate America, So I go back to school.
Returning visitor.
I actually learned about expungement and became absolutely obsessed.
Okay.
I became obsessed with the expungement because I feel like if I were to get my record expunged, it would give me the life that I knew back. I wanted my life back. And so after learning, all these things about expungement, like I said, I had started in 2007, but the law changed in 2009, and then when it increased to age 25 and I was 25, I was like, So after learning the process for myself, it really did start off to be about me. But once I saw myself, I was first of all jobless on my way to homelessness, and I was sitting in a job center surrounded by people that I knew wasn't gonna get the job either. They had criminal records just like I did, and I had a solid work history. I'm talking about at Fortune 500 companies, for 10 years straight. So my resume was solid, but it didn't mean anything when it came to the criminal record. Your criminal record is a disqualifier. It don't matter the education. It don't matter the work experience or the skill level when you have a record. So, and I knew that to be true.
Okay.
I knew it was true. And so,
and then real quick, some other things that I've been very impressed with seeing online and seeing you in the news. Talk about some of the places that you spoke, and the people you spoke to.
So since then, let me just hurry this timeline up. So since then, I learned the process. I began to help other people get their records expunged. And so since then, I've partnered with, I've developed Clean Slate, Milwaukee, in 2012. And then since then, we've made some impeccable partnerships. We have a partnership with the Milwaukee Bar Association. We have a partnership with the Pro Bono program and the State Bar Association. We have done numerous community
workshops and
expungement clinics and workshops, partner with the fatherhood initiatives, the city, soon to be the county. And then just yesterday, so I've been following this expungement law all the way up until today. So yesterday, I went to speak before the Wisconsin Legislative Council in favor of an expungement bill. It's actually one of 8 expungement bills that's on the table looking to pass. And so right now in the state of Wisconsin, there's an age limit to who can get their records expunged and who can't. I personally don't feel like it's fair. Lots of people don't feel like it's fair, including some members of the Legislative Council. So what they're looking to do is remove the age limit and also take away at the time of sentencing, because the judge would have had to recommend expungement for you at the time of sentencing. And if he or she hadn't recommended at the time of sentencing, you almost completely out of luck.
And some of the time that could have just been by what your lawyer asked them to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could have been part of a plea agreement, but it wasn't for a lot of time. So that's what we went to go do just yesterday. And there will be many more hearings that I will go and continue to advocate on the expansion of expungement here in Wisconsin.
And then in other states, it just varies by states, but they, from what you've seen, they don't normally have that age.
No, I don't particularly know of any other state that has that age limit. Not to say there isn't one. I'm just not aware of any other states that have that age limit. But as a barrier.
Well, now let's go into detail about what is expungement.
What is expungement?
We hear this word, and also every time I type it in online, it say that I'm spelling it wrong. Even though I look it up, that's the way it's spelled. What is expungement?
So get into the nitty-gritty. So expungement means by definition to strike, delete, alleviate, annihilate a public record. And remove all references to that record as if it actually never happened. So just in layman's terms, or just to break it down and make it plain, it really means to make a public record private. So expungement of criminal records is something that takes place in a county courthouse in which you were convicted. So let's just say you live in Racine County, but the incident happened in Marathon County. Your expungement will have to go back to Marathon County.
It does? It has to go where you're living at.
It has to go where the crime was committed.
I see
Wherever
what
you got charged and sentenced, you have to go back to that court, that judge, and seek out your expungement that way. There's actually 2 different expungement processes. There's an expungement process if you was convicted, and there's an expungement process if you was not convicted. So if you was convicted, then you have to go through all the formalities and going back before the judge, possibly getting a hearing, and really plead your case as to why you deserve this second chance, why, you can't get the job because, you have this record, or why a landlord won't rent to you because of this record. So that's if you was convicted. If you was not convicted, the way it goes here in Wisconsin is you completely bypass the court process and you go straight to the state capitol, which is Madison. And so then you have to submit your documents to Madison and get your expungement that way. So it's 2 different expungement processes. If the case was dismissed, found not guilty, all of that, this is completely separate process, but it's for sure expungement.
What is so amazing to me is that there's probably millions of people that had the case dismissed or found not guilty, and they still have that public record sitting there for anyone to do a search and find out.
I agree. It's irrelevant information that plays a great role, or
that can hinder somebody from moving forward. It has, where people always say, well, I was found not guilty, but someone did a search and they found out what I was found not guilty about, and it seems like they still hold that against me just because just because they found out what the charges were. But what you do is you help people where with that particular situation where that just really needs to be wiped away.
It does. Because what happens is the allegation.
Allegations.
Most times be way more harsh than the actual something they did get convicted of. You get black men mostly, you know, they get their usual suspects. You can be walking down the street, get pulled over, and you can fit a description of somebody that just got robbed down the street. They take you in, and after investigation, even a witness be like, "Oh, that's not even him."
But that's on the record.
But they leave it on your record.
That's on the record.
And that can be expunged.
People, you got to get in touch with Shania. But watch the complete video because we're going to go into more details about expungement and her services. Now, let's talk about the new laws versus the old laws. I know we don't want to get too detailed about it because it might put people to sleep.
It can be confusing.
It can be confusing, but there's new things that are coming down the pike that people may qualify for.
Correct. So I may mention earlier that, there was the old law. The old law only applies to misdemeanors. The new law applies to non-violent, non-sexual violent felonies.
Okay.
So if you have a violent felony, you probably wouldn't even been recommended for expungement in the first place. If you have a sexual violent, pedophiles, we don't advocate for those. We actually advocate for non-violent, very low-level drug charges for the most part.
And that's what a lot of our people have been
so drug charges are the most expungible charges there are.
Okay. And then let's go into the two, and I think you kind of went towards it, but the two different types of expungement process. That was mainly where if they didn't get convicted and they did get convicted, right? That was okay. So just to be clear on that one. And then typically, who qualifies for expungement?
Well, state by state it varies, but here in Wisconsin, the typical expungement, candidate will be someone that is 25, 30 years old and under. One-time drug charges, wrong place, wrong time, sometimes fleeing and eluding the officer. You don't pull over from the officer soon enough. Driving without owner's consent. Those are the typical clients, someone that is really ready to move on with their life, not really interested in a life of crime. That's a typical person. Someone that's ready, they done, just need a fresh start.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of people need a fresh start. And then what are some of let's talk about the basic ground rules. We'll get into what qualifies a person, but what are some of the basic ground rules when it covers for all the states?
All states, right. So like I said before, all states vary, but just some very basic things that seem to apply for all states. You have to be off probation and or parole. All your fines, fees, restitution just has to be paid back. Can't be a violent offense, non-sexual violent offense. No pending charges.
Okay.
So you can't have anything. You going back and forth to court right now. The courts would like to see how that case turned out, and then they probably make a decision on your expungement depending on the results of that case.
Okay. And then let's talk about some of the reasons why people might want to consider using your service to get their record expunged. Like one of the examples you gave me is that like your example where it messes up either a job opportunity or currently being on a job if they look at that record.
Yes.
So like job. Well, I wrote down some notes. Shanielle told me that people that have records, it can stop you from getting a good job or a better job or a job promotion. Housing, it makes it hard for you to be able to live where you want to be living at. You can't get admissions and student loans for colleges. And this was one I didn't know about, was volunteer opportunities.
at your child's school.
And that would be very important. What if they needed you to go on a field trip with your child and you can't just simply because your record, and we see it in the news, the schools are getting more and more to where they're checking into records, because if something was to come back, they're gonna, they want to be able to answer to why they let someone that had a record participate at the school.
But it also hinders a parent involvement.
Okay.
And that's the last thing we want to do in schools, to hinder parent involvement in their child's academic life. But I also wanted to hint to the first two, employment and housing. Employment, a lot of times you can be employed and you can have a glass ceiling.
Okay.
You can't move. You have a job, but you can't move up in the job into maybe mid-management or management positions because of your record.
They can easily use that to hold you back easily, because it's like, what can you say? Even though you've been living good, you're working, excellent worker, they could simply use that thing there to hold you back.
Yeah, and so as far as housing go, so when it comes to criminal records, men, for the most part, have them on the average, men have them more. And if you can't be put on a lease in your house, what position? What position have they just put that man in his own house?
Not even head of household.
You can't even be the head of the household. So it's very important that, a person seek out to have an expungement, if it's possible, because, as a woman, I'm telling a man, you don't want to not be on that lease.
Yeah.
You want to be on that lease.
Yeah, and you want to be a whole person.
That's
when
right.
You talk about a person, you're paying, you're in that house, you need to have your place there too. Now let's, and then public assistance, you said that there was some barriers on that.
Yeah, public assistance. And we're here in Wisconsin. I don't know about other states, but, signing up for just regular public assistance, whether it's food share, food stamps, or whatever, the question is there. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Mm-hmm. Have you ever been convicted of a drug felony? Which I feel like is irrelevant information when it comes time, to providing someone that's a citizen,
getting assistance.
So you asked the question, why would someone come through us or me rather than going through any other, service?
I will get to that because, because when I met, and just to give you a little bit of background, with my other company, Blue Book Milwaukee, Miss McLeod has been advertising her business there. And so she's not new to this, just like she said. And I saw something that she had on there where she pre-screens individuals because she likes to make sure that a person can qualify, and that there's a lot of things that needs to be gathered to be able to even move forward in the process. And so I had asked her the big question. I said, number one, I think she's answered why you want to go to her, because her qualifications, she's answered that part with everything that she's done, even with her personal story. But I said, why should I, if I was in needing an expungement, why would I need to pay for what you call a pre-screen process? Why wouldn't I do it on my own? Why would I have your company do this pre-screen process for me?
Well, first reason is because this is what we do all day, every day.
The time.
This is all we do all day, every day. So we know exactly where to go. We know exactly where to go get the documents. We know exactly where to pull the backgrounds from. We know exactly what we're looking for. And we know exactly what the courts are looking for.
Okay.
We know what to do. We know what not to do. We've already established a lot of relationships already inside the courthouse. So. And
you're establishing them even more in all the other states.
And right inside
as you grow, yeah. And then when you're saying you're saying about time, it takes a lot of time to get all this stuff. It's very
time consuming. That's the second point. It's very time consuming. Just working with the Department of Justice itself.
Department of Justice?
Yeah, the Department of Justice. Because we get very thorough.
Okay.
We do a very thorough search in your background. We go to the Department of Justice and dig up everything. Now, the Department of Justice, have anytime you ever said hi to the police,
yeah,
is on that record. So, and plus people would really like to know exactly what their background looks like. We don't want to always assume that you know exactly what's there, because I can't even tell you how many times I've pulled a background for someone and they was like, what? I didn't even know that was there, And so it's very important that you know what employers see when they look you up. You don't want to just assume you know what's there. So that will be a reason or a benefit
of that
of coming
that.
through.
So you're getting information from the city, the state, federal with that information, and then you got all the resources. She does this stuff full time. It's not like she's coming in part time and doing it. She gets the complete background of the individual that's looking to get their record expunged. She's been doing this for, you said 10 years? Are you
10
sure
years.
It's not longer though?
It's been 10 years solid, and I just also wanted to add that the people that I talk to, I can directly relate to. If somebody was to tell me that, I was trying to get this job and I've been on 2 or 3 interviews, and at the last interview they was like, well, I would love to give you this job, but I can't because of your record. I know firsthand
how that feels.
What that feels like, and I can't even explain the devastation. Especially as a mother, that all the bills is your responsibility, and you the head of the household, and you really need this job, and you qualified, but you can't because of your record. I tune right in. Mm-hmm. So I can relate to
that
to
individual.
The people.
Yeah,
I relate to them, and I want to see it done. Their success is our success. So I want it to happen. I just want to be sure that it can happen before we even move on with the process.
Yeah, so I believe that a pre-screen would be worth it. It's just like getting a diagnostic for your car. You want to make sure exactly that you're going to fix what it needs to be fixed. And with a pre-screen, you're getting all of the data, everything that's needed to be able to make the right decision, to be able to move forward the right way with the right information. Because if I'm not the person that does this work. She does this work, but from what I'm understanding, you need to have, even when you get all the information, you still have to package it up the right way.
That's right.
To the courts. It's got to go. And just like you said, I could be living in another city now, but it has to be done where the violation was with that judge.
It's a jurisdiction issue.
So there's a lot of things. And for me, I would get a pre-screen, because then that way it's done the right way.
That's right.
It's done the right way the first time, and then moving forward is going to be done the right way. So I was looking here. You do the pre-screens, which is a very affordable rate for finding out everything in the work that you've explained that you do. It costs $99.95. If anyone is interested in getting a pre-screen, there's a link right below this video, and it'll take you straight to the page. And once you order your pre-screen, you'll be working with Miss McLeod and getting everything done for you. And she's very professional. But now we're going to take a short step back, and we're going to answer some disqualifying questions. So we don't want to waste your time. And also her time is very valuable, because she has to dedicate it to her customers that get the pre-screen service and the expungement services, her and her staff. So what I've done is I've asked her to give us some questions that we want to ask you right now in this video. And if you cannot answer these in the proper, it's not that you can't answer. If you don't qualify with your answers on these questions, you shouldn't move forward to the pre-screen. If you can answer these the right way, I don't want to say the right way, because at some point some people can qualify that don't qualify now. But so let's go ahead. These are disqualifying questions. The first one is
it violent? So it's some definite disqualifiers, right? So if your record is violent, it won't. If it's a homicide, second degree, reckless endangerment, using firearms, strangling,
just stuff like that.
Suffocation of a witness. No.
Yeah, and we know that if somebody is in that situation, we know that you probably improving your life, but just the way the law is set, these are things that just are not going to qualify for expungement. So if you have any of those, it's not going to qualify and you can't move forward. The next one is sexual violence.
Sexual violence.
No sexual violence.
No rape, no pedophiles, no sexual assaults, no sex with a minor, those
just
things.
Any of those. So you can't move forward if you've had any convictions on those. And then you said something about probation. They must.
You have to be off probation and or parole. So if you're still serving probation is part of your sentence. So you have to complete your sentence successfully.
Okay.
You can't be revoked. You can't get rearrested. Can't have any pending charges.
Okay, no pending charge. Okay. And then the last one here was your fines.
Fees, restitution. So depending on the case, some people will get restitution that has to be paid back as part of the sentence.
Okay.
And so what I like to say is expungement puts a period to the end of a sentence.
Okay.
Right? So without expungement, every sentence is a life sentence. It's going to go on and
forever.
on and on and on without getting that record expunged. So if you have a restitution, a probation, that's a part of your sentence that has to be done, paid up before you can even apply. I would suggest that happens before they even go through the pre-screen process.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, I think that thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You've answered all the questions, and I think that she's done a great job. And if you need to watch this video over and over, watch it over and over because it has the information that you need if you're looking to move forward to the pre-screen process. And again, the pre-screen process is $99.95. I think that that's a bargain when you look at how much work and how much information she's going to be gathering for you. And at least, even if you're not ready to move forward after that, you will have a complete package of what people see on the record, which is, like you said, people, they get that and they like, I didn't even know that was on there like that.
Yeah.
I think that you at least even need to know that, because when you know where you're at, then you can move forward. When you're guessing, it's hard to move forward. You're still in the dark.
And I had that experience when I pulled my record for the first time, because in my mind, I just assumed that I knew. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that I got pulled over back when I was 17.
Okay.
And it's still on my record. And there was nothing happened behind that.
But it was on there.
It's still there.
That's
it
incredible.
Was still there.
That's incredible. All right. Well, do you have anything that you want to say to the audience? I mean, we thank y'all for watching the video. You have any last questions? I mean, not questions, last statements or anything?
No. Let me see.
And she's looking at her notes because, we're just making this video, just to explain everything to everybody.
Nothing other than, we started very grassroots here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we've grown. We've grown countywide, statewide. I just wanted to make mention that there's a national expungement expansion that's going on nationally, all the United States. So there's 29 states. 29 states that have expanded their expungement rules and policies. Florida just allowed for felons to be able to get their rights to vote back, which is historical. Because in Florida, when you had a felony, you was done.
Finished. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of movement, and I encourage people to get involved to find out if your state was one of them, and find out what that expansion was, because even if you didn't qualify before, you may qualify now.
Okay.
And just find out.
And then we'll end it on this statement. Don't make what is it? Don't make your sentence a life sentence.
Yeah, without expungement, every sentence
is a life sentence. Remember that statement.
I'm gonna trademark it.
Yeah.